Janandasya Janandalasya Lakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Govinda Shri Chaitanya Manupistam Sthapanam Yena Bhuttali Swayam Rupakara Mayam Dadati Swabadantikam Namam Vishnupada Krishna Vista Bhuttali Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gopani Pachayane Nirvishesha Shrivari Pashatara Shatarine Vanchakapa Trivasha Kripa Sindhuvevata Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pavanityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, thank you so much for coming to our first session on our topic of children being our future. Everybody understands English?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, especially encouraging is that even a brahmachari is coming to join us, because I will share that most things I learned about children is from the brahmacharis in Bangladesh. Yes. How they train the children, how much importance they give to the children. Yes. Yeah. Is there anybody here who meets me the first time? Should I quickly introduce myself?
Yes.
Yes, okay, let's try and do this quickly. So my name is Devaki Devidasi. I am originally from Germany, but I have not lived there for 40 years. I met Krishna consciousness in Australia in 1985. And after 1 week of meeting the devotees, I moved into the Brahmacharini ashram. I was there for 4 years, and then I got married to a devotee whose parents were from Latvia. He was a brahmachari for 7 years, and then we got married. And 2 months after we got married, we went to Latvia to start preaching there. This was in '89. I actually just came yesterday from Riga, so sometimes I'm still visiting there. So yeah, '89 was the perfect time. The whole communist system fell apart, so somehow by Krishna's arrangement we were there. We had like the first more organized temple in the former Soviet Union, and we had about 65 brahmacharis and 30 brahmacharinis, and it was a real buzzing, dynamic place. So, and then in 1999, my ex-husband decided to take a break from Krishna consciousness and from me. So he left and remarried a non-devotee and separated again. And so he's not really practicing anymore at this moment, but you never know, you know. So yeah, so since 1999, I'm basically living out of a suitcase. I'm traveling and preaching, so I didn't always look like this while I was married. I had earrings and nose ring and everything, you know. Yeah, so it's good to go through these phases, you know. Yeah, so I'm not one of these fanatic women who never looked any different than this or something. So yeah, and for the last 25 years I've been living out of a suitcase. I'm basically constantly traveling, and I usually spend 5 months preaching in India and Bangladesh. Out of these 5 months, 3 months I spend in Mayapur, and I give courses in Holy Name Retreat in Eka Chakra. Very nice experience over Christmas. Yeah. So yeah, and the rest of the year, the other 7 months, I'm basically going all over the planet. Only place I haven't been yet is South America. This year I did a whole tour around South Africa, and sometimes Australia, New Zealand, sometimes US, Canada, Europe, so many countries are there. Before the war, I spent quite a lot of time in Ukraine, especially in Kharkov. But yeah, now I'm not bold enough to go there. Even though some people say, come, don't wait until the war finishes, it will never finish. And they try to convince me it's safe to come. But yeah, I'm not quite sure, you know, as a woman traveling by herself. Yeah, I'm not adventurous enough for that. Anyway, so in my humble preaching efforts in Bangladesh, I've spent quite some time there every year, over 20 years. I learned many things about Vaishnav culture, because Bangladesh is East Bengal, that's where most of Mahaprabhu's associates come from. So in that, over 20 years, I actually received a whole transformation, really. Yeah, it completely transformed my whole spiritual practice and outlook on life. And that's where I also realized the importance of children. Yeah. So, and that inspired me, my time in Bangladesh inspired me to establish an institute for spiritual culture. I forget to bring my nice brochures along, but yeah, tomorrow I will bring them. And I put all these courses together, which I'm teaching every year in January in Mayapur. And now I'm putting the courses in book form, because not everybody can come to Mayapur and take all these courses, because each course is 15 hours, so over 6 weeks I give all these courses. And yeah, and now I'm working on my next book, which is on the Vanaprastha Ashram. Title will be the Vanaprastha Ashram, Meeting Death with Joy. That's the essence of Vanaprastha. So there will be 2 chapters on death, what happens there, and how to accompany a person, and how to prepare, and so many things on there. Because I've accompanied quite a few personalities in that last phase. You know, yes, and it's quite important that we, yeah, get good association, and we have somebody who helps us focus and all that. You know. Yeah, so that will be the next one. I'm hoping beginning of next year I will have printed that. And then comes the kids' book. Yes, yeah, I want to put that course also in book form. Yes, so funny noises there.
Have to put a little bit down the volume, a tiny bit.
Tiny bit, but only a tiny little bit, otherwise I have to scream so much. So let us begin by me sharing a few realizations which inspired me to give attention. Oops, not so much. Yes. Now he's trying to shut me up completely here.
You can hear?
Yeah, but
everyone?
See, my voice is my weakest point.
It's actually, it's quite audible.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, alright. I'm gonna go really close then.
Yeah, you need to eat this microphone.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, so let me share, some insights actually. What inspired me to give some attention to this topic of children. Because often people say to me, oh, Mataji, you don't have any children. How can you talk about children? But first of all, I had the most amazing childhood. Yes, most amazing. Even though my parents were not devotees as such, but they had so much good spiritual intelligence. I dare say more than many of our devotees do. Yeah, so they gave us the most amazing childhood. Oh my God, yes. I grew up without television, which in those days was spectacular. I was the whole kid in the whole school that didn't have a television at home. Now people don't watch TV anymore because it's outdated technology, there's YouTube and so many things now. But in those days it was the big new thing. And my parents immediately could see, no, this is nonsense, we don't need this. And one motto I heard so many times from my parents, and I wish our devotees would say this to their children. My parents used to often say, what did they say? We don't need this. We are different. That's what they said. We don't need this. We are different. Oh. Yeah, so, I grew up without Coca-Cola and Mickey Mouse and Barbie dolls and all this stuff. My parents hated all these things. Yeah, I went to a Steiner school, Waldorf school, and I had all handmade things, the handmade dolls and all that. Yeah, so my parents, they were really very, very intelligent, Yes. I mean, whenever I give this whole course about children, I do share a lot of things about my childhood, but we here only have 2 sessions, one today, one tomorrow. But the full recordings are on the internet, especially the recording which you will find on the Simhachalam YouTube channel or website. That's the best recording. I gave it there over 5 days as morning, evening program, Yeah.
When was that?
Simhachalam.
Was that at the Nishingachaturdas?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, not Nishingachaturdas.
Some seminar.
Yes, some seminar I gave during pandemic actually. Yes, but there's quite a lot of families there. We gave it as morning, evening program. But on that website they have somewhere the recordings. It's over 10 sessions, 5 morning and 5 evening sessions. Yes. Yeah, so the first thing that gives me this inspiration about children is my own childhood. I mean, my mother was the most amazing mother. She never worked while we were in the home. She only went back to her professional world when we left home to study. So my parents were quite, they were well educated, and my mother was a good artist, and she engaged us in such creative ways, Yes, we were preparing the whole month of December, we were preparing for Christmas. And I was thinking, God, why our parents are not doing this with Janmashtami or Gopanim, Yes, we were doing all these crafts and all the Christmas bhajans we were practicing and the Christmas cookies we were making and all these little figurines from wax. We were making a whole diorama there under the Christmas tree about, Jesus and Maria and Joseph and the ox and this and that. Yes, I mean, all that we can do in Krishna consciousness, Yeah, the festivals. My parents were celebrating in such an amazing way, so sweet and nice, and so much devotion was put in. So when I was a teenager, I had this theory that festivals are so important. And I was lamenting that grown-ups don't know how to celebrate festivals. And I was thinking, God, now I'm a teenager and Christmas, it's not what it used to be. And yes, and I was looking for this lifestyle which has lots of festivals marking the year. So thank God I found it. And I'm still really into festivals. I mean, unless I'm visiting as a preacher, I really roll up my sleeves and I get into it and make all the vases. And in Kharkov, you're from Ukraine. In Kharkov, I spent every Janmashtami in Kharkov for about 15 years. And we created this most amazing Vrindavan panorama on the altar. I was always setting a theme. One year Krishna and his cows, next year Krishna and the peacocks, next year Krishna and the gopis. And we were not symmetrically decorating the altar, but we were having a whole thing there. Yes. Yes, with waterfalls and little bridges and all the cows coming down. And I was sending devotees out to the forest, collecting all things, rocks and moss and this and that. And it was so amazing. And we were making all these little figurines, the gopis and little cards, you know, and yeah, I mean, you could stand there for hours and just detect all these little details, and it was a whole insight into Raj, you know. Yes, yeah, so it was so amazing. It was my meditation throughout the whole year. Whenever Janmashtami finished, I already set the theme for next year. And we had all these artistic devotees, they were making all different things there. And, you know, yeah, it was so beautiful, my God, you know. And I was always inviting some swamis, so I don't have to speak. And I can just be absorbed in all creating this whole thing there on the altar, you know. That was really, really nice. I'm really missing this time, you know. Yes. But you can only develop this if you're in the same place every year, you know. Because if I just turn up somewhere and I want to create a whole thing, then they say, oh, we'll see what's he all about. But if you're there for every year, you can create, you know, a whole thing. Every year you can increase and you know. Anyway, let's go back to the topic. Topic is not festivals, but shorter. Yeah. Yeah, and the other topic, the other source of inspiration is really Bangladesh. And I want to share some stories with you. Because for over 20 years I've been going to Bangladesh. And once I took a mother with her 10-year-old boy. I just wanted, the mother really wanted to come with me to Bangladesh. And her boy was there in Mayapur too, and we had the choice either he goes back with his father to Ukraine or he comes with us. So he came with us. And this boy was known as not being a devotee. Because he was your typical bored out of his brain Kali Yuga kid, you know, no interest, slept till 9 o'clock, sat on the computer playing computer games, and had no desire to go to the temple. And when devotees heard that I would take him to Bangladesh in Mayapur, they said to me, why are you taking him to Bangladesh? He's not even a devotee. And I thought, oh, well, he's coming with his mother. So, and then, when this boy was in Bangladesh, he came to life. So much so that his mother was completely shocked. She could not recognize her boy. Yes. Why? Because of the brahmacharis giving him so much attention. Yeah, he was 10 at the time. And I discussed with one of the senior brahmacharis that he would stay with some brahmacharis in the room, and they would train him and show him how to take baths with the bucket and everything, yeah. And they were so nice to him, so affectionate. You know, that boy probably got more affection in these 3 weeks in Bangladesh than he had ever received in his life. Yeah. They all dressed him up with a Swami hat, they bought him all stuff, and they were sitting around him, feeding him, giving him all yummy things on the plate there. And yeah, they were so sweet with him, you know. And he got up for Mangalati every day, you know. And one brahmachari, who is a very nice devotee, he accepted him as Shiksha Guru. He washed his cloth every day. And oh, there's a stain, I have to take it down again, wash it again, you know. Yes, like that. And that brahmachari told him, so now you have to read Bhagavad Gita every day. He was sitting there reading Bhagavad Gita, you know. And then on the preaching programs, they really involved him. He knew one melody on the harmonium, and he could sing. And on every preaching program, he had his little number there, his 10-minute performance on the stage in front of hundreds of people. You know, and he was blonde, and he had these big, offstanding ears, shaved up. I mean, he was the attraction of our whole preaching program, you know. People were just amazed, you know. And then when he finished his number there on the stage, he was holding the mic for the boys, and he was there assisting them, you know. They really involved him. And that enlivened him so much. Oh, I mean, his mother was in shock. What happened to my boy? I don't recognize him. I thought he's not a devotee. You know, yes. So that experience was an eye-opener to me. And I realized we are doing something wrong with our children. Yes, we are doing something wrong. My God. And interestingly, you know, he came for 3 weeks, and that inspiration he received lasted for a whole year. Even at school, he was really lively, he was better at school. He did with his mother a whole little preaching program there about India, Bangladesh, showing some slides, distributing prasadam. Oh, he was flying. He was flying. But then after a year, he went down again, you know, yes. And then I took another boy, also from Ukraine, to Bangladesh with his father. First time he came, he was also 10. And again, he loved it. Oh, he was there having fun with the brahmacharis and taking baths in the pukur and the pond. And, oh, you know, yeah, he was in ecstasy. And he didn't want to go back to Ukraine. You know, he was saying, oh, let's just live in Bangladesh. Let's get babushka, grandma, everybody moves to Bangladesh. Why can't we live in Bangladesh? You know? Yeah, he didn't want to go back. Mm-hmm. And his mother told me, for the first week, every evening, he was quietly sitting in the corner crying in separation from Bangladesh. You know? So then I took the same boy again 2 years later when he was 12. And then, yes, he got very inspired again. He had all his brahmachari friends there. And, you know. And when he came back from that, he started dressing life-size Prabhupada Murti in the temple every Sunday. One day, every day, with 12. You know? Yeah. And he was also our best Madanga player in Kharkov, you know, in that community. So then I took him again when he was 14. And after that trip, he said he doesn't want to go to school anymore, and he doesn't want to have all his stupid computer friends there, and he cut all that off. And he studied online, completely self-motivated. Yeah. And being fixed up, you know, yes. Then when he was 16, he went to Mayapur instead of Bangladesh. And then when he was 18, he got initiated by Niranjana Swami. And on his initiation, he came to me and he said, Mataji, the reason why I got initiated today is because of Bangladesh. Yes. Just 3 weeks every 2 years gave him such a boost. You know, now he's a brahmachari in Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj's group, and they're in Mayapur now. He went out of Russia. Yeah, but he's nice devotee, you know, now fixed up, and he's now 22 maybe or something. I'm not quite sure how old. Yeah, so I mean, these are just little stories, you know, to share with you why I feel this urge to talk about children. Seeing, you know, that, yeah, we are doing something wrong here, you know, yes, yes. And really, I mean, today we kind of, yeah, we're setting the scene and we talk about a few things. really, it's not that I mean, yes, let me share, in Bangladesh, every temple has a kids department. It's a temple department. What's it called? Jagrata Chatra Samaj. Do we have anybody who speaks Bengali here? No. Jagrata Chatra Samaj. Yeah, don't ask me exactly what it means.
Samaj would mean like a community maybe, but Jagrat could be like, woke or
Chatra Samaj. Can't remember. Yes. In any case, every temple has a department. Not just a little kids program, but it's a temple department. You know? And in a Muslim country, the Friday is the Sunday, right? So whole Friday, the kids have all their engagements. They have their room where they all run. They know that's their place in the temple, you know, and they're mainly trained in shlokas. Yeah, already 4 or 5, they can chant so many nice shlokas. And musical instruments and bhajans and devotional art. And when they're a little older, they're getting trained in debating. Yes, how to defeat my own bodies and all these kind of things, you know. Yes. Yes. So they're all trained in this. And then every now and again they have some competitions, you know, their big day where they do things on the stage and they're all dressed up and they all come and ask for blessings of all the senior devotees. I've attended some of these functions, you know. And the way they chant the shlokas, they're not rattling them down like we do, you know, the faster the better or something, but now with some sweet voices, they're all chanting them. I mean, it sounds like something coming from the spiritual world or something, you know, really amazing. When they're 4 or 5 or 6, you know. And then the way they play the instruments, you know, that they can hardly reach the mridanga, but they're already playing there, you know. Yes. And they sing the bhajan so beautifully. I mean, it's amazing, you know. Actually, His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, maybe some of you know him from Mayapur, he started the whole kids thing there in Bangladesh, you know. And of course also one reason why we give so much attention to the children is also to pull the parents in, you know, because Bangladesh, Muslim country, so the Hindus, they're all concerned that their children get some Hindu culture. So, and if you offer something for the kids, you got the parents there, you know. So, and then while the kids have their program, they try and give some lessons to the parents, you know. Yes. Yeah, so this kids program is in every temple, a solid part of a temple, you know, this kids department, you know. Yeah, and they really have this attitude, even the brahmacharis. This is why I think it's amazing that we have a brahmachari here in the audience. Because the brahmacharis have this vision. This is a future brahmachari with the boys, you know. They see them as future brahmacharis. And they're happy to play the role models for the kids. You know, because especially, let's talk about the boys and the girls also. Kids need role models, you know. So for a young boy, most natural role model is a brahmachari. I want to become like him, right? Yes, yes. But if the brahmacharis all have the attitude that our kids are a product of sex life and this is all terrible and we don't want to have anything to do with kids, I mean, then, you know, and they ignore them, then how will a child look up to a brahmachari, you know? Yes. And they think the opposite. I definitely don't want to become like one of those, you know? Yes, yes. Yeah, so, you know, and I've watched them because I do work a lot with the brahmacharis in Bangladesh. It's brahmachari local. We have hundreds of brahmacharis there. So, and they really treat the young boys. You know, they pat them on the shoulder, so what's your name? Oh, Haribol Prabhu, they call him Prabhu. And, you know, and they make friends with him. And, Yes, yes. So they really, the kids, they feel they have a place in our society, you know, because that's how they see them, you know. That's actually the spiritual vision, you know, to see the soul and not just the body. But when you're on the bodily platform, you think kids are always kids and old people have always been old people, you know, and you don't realize that the kids in a few years, they're grown-ups, and old people, 30 years ago, they were all so young, you know, so we forget these things and we just see them in terms of the bodily designations, you know. Yeah, but there they don't. And especially the brahmacharis with the boys, they really reach out to them, they're really involved and they make friends with them. And, you know, yes. And then, you know, the temples with their kids' departments, they have these excursions with the kids. You know, they rent a bus and they take all the kids and the parents somewhere, and the brahmacharis come along. You know, yes, yes, they come along. They guide and uplift the parents, they bond with the kids. And, you know, of course, mainly with the boys, not so much with the girls. But the girls are also, of course, in the kids' department. At that young age, they don't separate. But then, yeah, when they're a little older, they do separate the kids. Yeah, so they do so much for these kids, you know. And they really have this attitude, our children are our future. They're living it. You know? And that's actually the attitude in any spiritual culture. You know? In any culture which is striving to develop God consciousness, that the children are seen as the future. Yeah. But unfortunately, in a culture where sense gratification is the goal, the attitude is very different. So what's the attitude in a culture where sense gratification is the goal? What's the attitude towards kids?
Ignorance.
Burden.
Burden. And what else?
It's negligence, maybe.
Huh?
Negligence towards children, maybe.
Negligence, yeah, completely. What are they seen as? Huh? Impediment, yes. Disturbance. Oh, these kids are always disturbing. They're disturbing the fun of the grown-ups. Yes, yes. And therefore they're pushed aside. Be quiet. Shut up. Don't disturb. You know? Yes. Yes. That's the problem. That's the problem. And we have this also in our ISKCON society too, because we bring that conditioning into our communities, into our lives. You know? But many temples, I mean, I travel almost all around the world, so many temples don't even have anything for children, nothing. You know? Yeah. And often it's like that nobody wants to do the kids' programs, because everybody wants to have fun in the temple room during the Sunday program. You know? That reflects exactly that attitude, that the kids are seen as a disturbance, you know, spoiling the fun of the grown-ups. You know? Yes, and that's why nobody wants to do anything with the kids. It's sad. It's so sad. My God. You know? Yes. Or at the most, they may do, you know, they just put some Krishna cartoons on or something. And of course, cartoons, the kids are completely mesmerized, overloaded with visual stimulation. They just sit there and they're hypnotized for 2 hours, you know, just so that the parents can have their program. You know? But yeah, watching things on the screen makes people dull-headed, even if it is about Krishna, yes. This overstimulation of visual impressions, consuming visual distractions. It kills the visualizing. ability, you know, the visualizing, imagination. It completely kills this. So that's why we read to children stories. My mother read every evening a story to us when we were lying in bed. And she adjusted the topics according to our age. But we did this until we were 14, 15 or something. Yeah. I grew up with books. We didn't have a TV, you know. Yes. Yeah, so and when a child hears, you know, oh, Krishna is there with his yellow dhoti and, you know, peacock feather, and there's the peacock next to him and this and that. So then the mind makes the picture, you know, creates the picture in the mind. And that stimulates the visualizing function, that you can visualize. And that's a pretty important thing to have in life. Where, you know, if you plan anything, you have to be a visualizer, you know, to see in your mind how it will be, or how it can be. You know, so if you're just sitting there watching things on the screen, a person will not develop that function so well. That's why people in Kali Yuga become very dull-headed. You know, yes, and it's getting worse and worse. Modern technology is a big contributor to this, you know, yes. Yeah, so, where was I?
Kids program.
Oh yeah, kids programs, yeah. So often, you know, there are maybe some kids programs, but it's just in the mood of a babysitter program, you know, just to keep the kids quiet, so we can enjoy, you know. Oh, I see it all the time, how people give the, you know, the phone to their kids, you know, and just let them watch it. I mean, I know some families, they're nice devotees, the parents, but then often, you know, everybody's out or something, and only the older sisters in the house, and then already 7-year-old girl knows how to work with a tablet and watches all kinds of stuff there, you know, all kinds of nonsensical things. My God, this is the worst. I mean, if you want to do your child a favor, don't allow them to have phones, you know. I live without a mobile phone. I travel the whole world without a phone. Yeah, it's possible. Of course, I have a laptop, but that's, you know, in my room. I don't carry that around with me, you know. Yes, that's the best. No phone. Yes. And then, of course, if the parents have no phone, then the kids also will not get the idea to have phones. But now the children are addicted to phones, addicted, already at young age, and the parents often give the phone just to keep them quiet. You know, sometimes when parents come to talk to me privately and they bring their child along, and they don't have any other way how to keep the child quiet except giving them the phone, and then they can watch all the stupid things there. Yeah, I know this visual stimulation makes people very restless. They can't sit and concentrate, you know. I noticed this when I started going to Bangladesh. There people didn't have so much all these gadgets. Of course now they all have to, but 15 years ago they didn't. And they're the kids. They could sit for 2 hours not moving, you know, and being concentrated and attentive and listen, you know, yes. So, but, you know, most kids after, 20 minutes, they can't even concentrate anymore. This all comes from this overstimulation, yes. Anyway, yeah, so I rarely find a temple where they really put their heart and soul into kids programs, very rare. I know one Mataji in Germany, she is so creative with her kids programs, and she collects rocks and then they paint them as shallograms, and they all take their shallogram home, and Yeah, so many nice things, you know. You can do so many nice things with the kids. Yes, and those who do the programs, it absorbs them fully and remembering Krishna, you know. If you really take this seriously, how to engage the child in a playful way, then the mothers, they're so absorbed, you know. In fact, it's the easiest and most natural way for a mother to become Krishna conscious, by engaging the kids in you know, in a playful way, you know. Yeah, so it's so much as an introduction. Oh, hang on, yes. So that's the whole point, you know. In spiritual culture, the kids are the center, because they're the future.
What is sin?
Huh?
Center.
Center. In the center, right? Yes. Yes, because they're the future. And everybody likes to engage with them, and everybody invests into them, and, you know, yes. So that's the mood in spiritual culture, and as I shared in Bangladesh, I have really experienced this. Whereas in materialistic culture, the kids are always a disturbance. And still, in our society, I come across so much immaturity still in regards to children, that many people, many devotees say, and I ask them, oh, you have children? No, we don't want children, we want to travel and preach. So usually my response is, hey, that's the next ashram. You're talking about the Vanaprastha ashram, you know? But because that's not established, people take elements from the Vanaprastha ashram and put it in the Grihastha ashram. And they think Grihastha life should be for traveling and preaching. No. You know, and then people think, no, we don't want children. Children are distraction. We won't be able to do so much service when we have children, you know. They're disturbance, and often women say, oh God, sometimes even in the presence of the child, the mother says, oh, I can't wait until he goes to the school next year. Then I finally can, you know, go to the temple and do some service. You know. And how will the child feel hearing something like that? You know? Terrible. You know. But if a mother, or the father, but maybe it's the mothers also, if they have that attitude that, oh, this child is disturbing me, it's an obstacle in my devotional development, how will the child feel? You know? And will the child like Krishna consciousness? Most likely not. You know, yes. So let us be clear. If a mother has anything more interesting and more important in her life than the child, very easily the child will feel neglected. Yes, this is a serious thing, you know, especially in the first 5-6 years. The child needs the love and attention of the mother completely. Yes, and if they don't get that, there's a big frustration there, and also an emotional imbalance. The mother really creates the emotional strength in the person. I owe my devotional life to my mother, definitely. The reason why I can live the life I'm living is due to my mother. She gave me that emotional strength and confidence and security and all that. That's what the mother gives. You know? Yes. So, and I've been so many times in this situation when I talk to a mother and the child is there. If the child patiently waits until we finished our 10-minute conversation, then I know this mother gives a lot of attention to her child. And that's why the child does not feel threatened by the mother talking to me for a few minutes. You know? That's why the child knows, so after the talk, it's my turn again. You know? And the child patiently waits and is peaceful. But if the mother does not give that strong attention to the child, as soon as the mother talks to me, the child will do all kinds of crazy things. You know? Yes. Do all kinds of tensions there and pull, let's go, or you know, be naughty and do crazy things just to get the attention. And then I immediately know, yes, this child feels threatened by anybody who takes the mother's attention. Another story from Bangladesh, which is not so positive. I once was staying overnight with a family where she is a manager of a big bank. And she's out of the house from morning to evening. And they had a girl, she was 3 or 4, something like that. And as soon as I came and the mother showed me the room where I would stay and I was unpacking my things. So what did the girl do? She came in my room and she took my stuff and threw it all around the place. You know, very aggressive and destructive. And I immediately realized why the child is doing this, you know. Because she saw me as a threat. Oh, now somebody comes here who again takes the attention of my mother away. Yes. So I said to the mother, do you realize why your child behaves like this? Because she was, of course, very embarrassed, you know, completely. I mean, you imagine you're having a visitor in your home, a traveling preacher, and then the kid throws my personal stuff around there, you know. So she was very embarrassed. So I said to her, do you realize why the child is behaving like this? And of course she didn't. I said to her, well, this is typical when the mothers are out all day working in their profession, in their career, you know, and then the child doesn't get that attention. But of course she was very defensive. No, my kids love that I'm working and and yes, and that's why I have more money now and we can pay so many things for the kids and all that. So okay, I left it at that. I didn't say anymore. But yeah, it's a typical thing, you know. And there is also a Prabhupada story where once one boy, he was 7, when Prabhupada was around, he was saying, I hate Krishna. And devotees were shocked. Oh, why do you hate Krishna? And he said, because Krishna took my mother away from me. That was his answer. Krishna took my mother away from me. And yeah, I mean, in the early days, and I'm not saying that, you know, criticize devotees, it was just a different time. It was the pioneer days, and yeah, it was the wrong time maybe to give, you know, attention to the importance of the kids. Even though Prabhupada actually said and so many things about the importance of children, you know, so many things. And when Prabhupada heard the story, he was very upset and he was giving a whole talk there, how important the children are. But yeah, it was just a more immature, neophyte mood that, Mahaprabhu personally will take care of the kids and let's go on Sankirtan and this and that. And yeah, and the kids were neglected, and I guess that's why we lost so many, of the first generation. But now it's time, you know, to do it differently, you know. So all right, the first generation, they sacrificed everything, even their family life and even their kids, just to help Prabhupada establish ISKCON. But now we have to, you know, get a bit more into the subtler aspects and deeper aspects, and we have to, do things better, you know. But yeah, so there is still so much immaturity, that was my point, that devotees think having children is an impediment. But actually, it's the other way around. If we take this whole topic of children seriously, it puts a whole different dimension on family life. Whole different dimension. Yes. Yeah. Let us quickly collect. Why should we have children? What do you think? Let's do some brainstorming here. Why having children? After all, they're taking all our energy away from Krishna consciousness and all that. So why should we have children?
Because it's an ashram. It means it's meant for our own progress, so in Krishna consciousness, that we can understand more deeply what is the meaning of service, unalloyed service, without getting any good result for ourselves, but just out of selfless.
Yes, yeah, very true. So, having children makes us selfless. It's actually the quickest and most natural way, especially for women, to become selfless servant by being mother and wife. Definitely. Because mother means you have to run 24/7, you know. Yeah, no off day or this or that. You always have to give, you know. Yes, yes. Yes. And also I've seen how men always really change when they become father, you know. Yes, the heart area opens more, you know. They also become more selfless and affectionate and in the giving mood and you know. Yes, patience. So many nice qualities we learn when we are a father, you know. Especially if we are participating a little bit in raising children, you know. Sometimes men think, oh, that's woman's job and they're not much involved or something. But no, when they involve themselves, they also become, more selfless and so on, you know. And the heart area opens more because men are often more rational, you know. But then when there's a child, that opens the heart more. So what other reasons are there to have children?
I mean, like, as you said, they're also the future of our movement, so we need to invest in bright, happy,
making devotees. It's one way of making devotees. Yeah, anybody has been to Almvik in Sweden? Our farm community, Almvik? Yes. So I've been for many years connected with them. And now, you know, the kids that I still remember as little toddlers, they are now giants, you know, 2 meters high, you know. Yeah. And they're running the show there, you know. Parmeshwari, Mataji and Lokanath Prabhu's kids, you know, and so on. And yes. Yeah, so it's amazing, you know, so you can almost say it's like planting trees, you know, sandalwood trees or something. It's a long-term project, you know, you don't get the harvest immediately, but after 20 years, you will get a harvest, either a good one or maybe not such a good one, you know. Yes, definitely. I mean, we have the, how are they called? This Christian group in America.
The Trappists?
No. The Amish, yeah. They are not a preaching movement, you know. They hardly even accept anybody to their communities. But they expand through their children immensely. They were just a small group, you know, when they started. And now they're quite a big movement. And yeah, in many ways, they're pretty successful. We can learn from them. Once, a few years ago, every 2 years in Mayapur, we have this ILS, this ISKCON Leadership Sangha. And there was one presentation which really impressed me the most. That was, what can we learn from the Amish or how you pronounce it. And this was so impressive to me. My God, there's some Christian group, and they live very traditionally, you know, in farm communities. And they have this motto, whenever they invite some new technology or some new idea into their community, their question is, will this increase our pride? And if it does, sorry, not interested. We don't want this. Yes. And they, you know, they study the Bible regularly, and they always ask, oh, what would the Lord say about this? You know? And then also in regards to chastity with the women, they showed a slideshow, and I was so impressed. I mean, I almost felt like crying, that I thought, my God, when will the day come when we can have this in ISKCON? You know, that the ladies were all wearing some uniform type things. They were covering their head, body nicely chaste, and in a chaste way dressed. And I thought, oh my God, you know, they're not even chanting the holy name. But they preserve these values of chastity and shyness and all of this. I thought, how do they do it? My God, that's what Prabhupada wanted us to do, you know, and we are not doing that well. I guess one reason probably is because they're not a preaching movement, you know, but we are. And that's why we keep our doors open to all kinds of, nonsense ideas or so, you know, sorry to say. You know, so yeah, I mean, and they have this thing, when their kids are teenagers, when they're 18, 20, they tell them, go out for 1 or 2 years, mix out there, and then you decide where you want to be. And a very high percentage decides to be inside their communities. It's about 90% or something, you know, yes. And they have such strong, trusting relationships. If somebody's barn burns down, the whole community comes, and within 1 weekend they build a new one. You know, that's how they all stick together and help each other and support each other. And yes, and they really practice simple living, you know. Yes, and also some kind of high God-conscious thinking, you know. Of course, they're probably not vegetarians, maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, anyway, we can learn quite a few things from them. So they multiply, let's go back to the kids, they multiply just through the kids, you know, because they seem to be successful in bringing up their children, that they want to stay fixed up in their communities with their values and their spirit and everything, you know. Yeah, it's quite impressive. And that is in America, you know, where things are, yeah, my God. I always experience a culture shock when I go there, and I'm glad to be back in Europe again. Yeah, so, yeah. One reason is to make devotees, yes. Because, and I do want to touch upon this later also again, Garbhadan Samskara, you know, if we take this whole kids thing seriously, we can invite specially empowered personalities to take birth in our families. Yes. So we can really make devotees, you know. Oh yeah, one interesting story I forgot in Bangladesh. Once my right-hand man, which was at that time maybe 24, 25 years old, Mataji, he once said to me, you know, 20 years ago or something, he said to me, Mataji, our kids programs are more important than our university preaching. And at that time I didn't understand. I said, really? Hearing that from a brahmachari, kids programs more important than university preaching. So I asked him, really, why is that? And he said, yes, the child, that's when you have to plant the seed. That's when you can mold their character. Once a person is already a student, he's got already so many bad habits, so many bad impressions. But child, that's where you have to start. And I was thinking, okay, wow. Just imagine hearing something like that from a brahmachari in the West. No brahmachari would think like that. Nobody. Yes. And it's actually so true, that the children, especially when they're born in Krishna consciousness, they start on a whole different level. Yes. So that should be actually our main way of preaching, to give these children something, because they continue from previous life, So if we give them, that's such an important point of preaching, Whereas kids from outside, or when they're not kids, when they're grown up, when they're, whatever, they have already so many bad habits and impressions and all sinful activities and all that. So all right, we want to be merciful to them also.
Yeah.
And we want to try and make them devotees. But the kids who grow up in our families, or even if they're not born in the family, but people join with small kids, so that's when we can plant the seed of bhakti, that's when we can mold their characters and everything, It's all a question of association and energy and investment we do into these children, Yes. So actually, we can bring about a whole different caliber of devotees if you concentrate on the children, rather than doing all this outreach and people who've been drug addicts and all right, let them also get the mercy, but it's so much more difficult preaching in many ways, just to eradicate all these bad impressions and habits and sinful life and it's so much more difficult than if we would just give the right attention to the children. Yes.
I was just reading in a purport by Prabhupada yesterday where he mentions 5 classes of people who need to be protected. So women, brahmanas, cows, poor people, and children. And then Prabhupada writes it's because they have the highest chance or a life of preparation for liberation.
Just
children.
Yes. Yeah, so, but there's still so much immaturity. So let's get back to our question. Let's look a little bit. So what other reasons are there to have children? A real practical one.
To purify our desires.
Exactly, that's what I was waiting for. What are we going to do with our sex desire if we don't use it in Krishna service and raise children in Krishna consciousness? So what are people doing if they say, yes, we don't want to have any children, we want to travel and preach? What are they doing? They're taking contraceptives or abortion or what, So, And I mean, these things are also going on in ISKCON. Contraceptives. Yeah, definitely. Abortion also. I know some people even who aborted a child, devotees. Yeah, so there is no question, of getting married with a plan not to have children. It doesn't even fit. It doesn't fit. So how are you going to purify your desires? Suppressing is not the end, so we use the desires in Krishna's service. So, and that's the way how to purify sex desire, by performing Garbodhan Samskar, doing a whole number there, arranging everything nicely, being Krishna conscious, and inviting a special soul to take birth in our family, and whole thing. And that helps us understand that yes, sex life has that purpose of bringing up children, yeah. So that's the main and foremost, very simple, practical reason to have children. Yes. So what else? Well, what are other reasons? What are the reasons? Well, let me say it. To fulfill our emotional needs. Yes. This is especially important for the ladies. Especially important for us ladies because we have a more emotional nature. So we can be good caregivers. So that we want to be a mother. Because which woman would be a mother if it wasn't for the emotional nature? That inspires us, that we want to play that role. Because being a mother is so much austerity, 9 months pregnancy, and child delivery, and then running, serving. My God, who would ever want to be a mother if it wasn't for the emotional nature? So that's why Krishna puts that quality into woman's nature, so she can be a nice mother, a nice caregiver, that she wants to be that as a woman. Yes, just like Krishna gives the man a stronger false ego, so that they want to take charge, because somebody needs to play that role too, and the false ego motivates them to take charge and do things. So we women have the emotional nature, so we want to play that role, And that emotional nature, as a rule, is best fulfilled by playing this role of being a mother. I've seen this many times. Because family life is meant to fulfill the emotional needs. Also for men, they also have emotional needs, but we women even more. So, and very often if women don't get married or don't want to get married, then there's often some unfulfilled emotional needs. And then even if she is married, but doesn't want children, then there's also unfulfilled needs. I've seen it many times. So unless we women know how to compensate and use that motherly nature in, for example, preaching, that was my path. It was not that we tried to avoid having children, even though we had a pretty busy life there. But no, we always had that mood, we should set the example of having children and so on. But yeah, I just never became pregnant, so Krishna knew what I needed. But I always used this motherly nature and sacrificed myself for bringing up the devotees. We had 30 brahmacharis in the temple in Riga, so and 65 brahmacharis, and we had a tiny little room in the temple. So every time I wanted to sit down and read, somebody was knocking on the door. Oh, Mataji, can I talk to you? So it was just like being a mother, my God. Sacrifice, getting up the girls in the mornings and organizing their services and their mental problems and finding husbands for them. And, it was full on, So that was my way, But for many women, this is not really the natural way. They find it difficult to sacrifice themselves in such a way. But for my child or my children, it's almost like Krishna is tricksing us, through this false ego thing of my children. And that motivates us to serve. It's like Krishna's trick. Yeah, false ego has also a few good sides. It's not all bad. At least it gets us going. The false ego motivation. Yeah, so, and I've observed that when women, for whatever reason, often it's that this immature understanding, or even the men sometimes make this condition, okay, I marry you on the condition we don't have children. Yeah, I mean, this is complete nonsense. Yes. But these things are going on. I come across this quite a lot. You know, and then she is so attached to marrying him and she agrees to anything and doesn't realize how damaging this can be for her spiritual development if she has to suppress this desire of being a mother, you know? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so for most women, very important to go through this journey of being a mother. And it fulfills in a very natural way our emotional needs. I have seen that ladies can suffer immensely later when they're 40, 45, sometimes getting a lot of mental problems, a lot of health issues, because, you know, gross, subtle body, they're very strongly connected. So often the health issues start in the subtle body and then they manifest in the gross body, you know. Yes. Yeah, so unless Krishna really does not allow any children, you know, oh, well, then what to do? But I even know families who did all kinds of things that they can have children, some artificial insemination, and I don't know the terms there, or, you know. But yeah, and they're glad they did it, you know, because it gives some balance and some life, and also a common goal, you know, the children act like the glue amongst husband and wife, you know, bonding them more and so on. You know. Yeah, so these are all good reasons, and as I mentioned, it puts a whole different dimension to family life if there are children there, not wanting to make you feel bad or something. But yeah, it's, you know, good to understand this, because yeah, it is said the demigods are queuing up to take birth in Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement, right? But they don't want to take birth in any family. They want to take birth in a Paka family, in a Krishna conscious family, you know. So let's not allow the queue to get too long there. There's so many millions of demigods. You know. Yeah, so let's invite some of them. You know? Yes, yes. I mean, we can invite personalities like Prabhupada or Bhaktisiddhanta to take birth in our family. You know? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, let's remember they were also children at some stage, you know. Yeah, so we can really make a major contribution, you know, to Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement by inviting an empowered personality to take birth, you know. All right, so let me see. We have still 1 hour, but I talked already quite a bit. So let me see if we have questions, preferably just about what we talked, not something new. Yes?
Just, I would like to know where comes this expression that demigods are queuing for taking birth in Vaishnava families?
Well, it is in the Bhagavatam. Yeah, yeah. Because there's verses even where the demigods lamenting that in the heavenly planets there's so much opulence, and you know, so easy to forget you, my dear Lord. You know, I wish we didn't have all this opulence. And yeah, and there is some places where either they themselves say or Prabhupada says that they actually want to take birth in Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement. Because this planet Earth is one of the best places to go back to Godhead. You know, heavenly planets, too much opulence, we forget Krishna. Hellish planets, too much suffering, also not so good. So, planet Earth, good mixture. There's some little heavenly enjoyment, Australia, and all these places. That's why I don't even like so much to go to Australia. Too comfortable, you know. Too comfortable. Anybody's been to Australia?
My husband. He's living 10 years there.
There you go.
He's from New Zealand.
Every second sentence people say in Australia, no worries, mate. No worries, mate. So how can we helplessly call out to Krishna with a no worries, mate attitude? You know? Too comfortable for me, you know. Yeah. Oh, you found the verse there, did you? Read it loud. Where is it?
It's in the 11th canto. This 11.538, Narada concludes his teachings. My dear king, the inhabitants of Satyayuga and other ages eagerly desire to take birth in this age of Kali. Since in this age there will be many devotees of the Supreme Lord Narayan. These devotees will appear in various places, but will be especially numerous in South India. O Master of men, in the age of Kali, those persons who drink the waters of the holy rivers of Dravida Desh, such as the names places, extremely pious and Kaveri, will almost be pure-hearted devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva.
There you go. Yeah, and I remember reading also some reports where Prabhupada says it, you know. Yeah. All right, what else? Yes, Prabhupada.
I'd like to know why the brahmacharis in Bangladesh have such a different attitude than the brahmacharis in the West.
Yes, I'm wondering too. No, I guess it's just the cultural influences, you know. In spiritual culture, that's the vision in life, you know, that the children are important, they are the center, they are the future. It's not that they're being specially trained in this or something, but that's the mood in society at large. Yeah, yeah. At least until now, you know, it also of course gradually changes. But so far Bangladesh is still too poor to really make sense gratification the goal of life. You know, if you don't have money in the pocket, it's easier to realize that there's other sources of joy and happiness and satisfaction except sense gratification. So therefore religiosity and spirituality is just more prominent, you know. Yeah. You can even see it in, you know, poor countries, even Eastern Europe, Ukraine before the war, or even Czech Republic and these places, the standard of life is still lower. So their spirituality is more prominent in society. And because this whole culture of sense gratification has not pushed aside yet, you know, the spiritual culture as much, you know. Yes. So it's not that they're specially trained in this. No. That's the mood in the society. Yes. But as I shared, this one mother who is the manager of some big bank, yeah, well, it's starting to change also there, you know.
Also, you said that some descendants of Mahaprabhu's associates, or
yeah.
they were from Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, yeah.
Some of them are also.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many holy places. Jagannath Mishra, Sachimata, they come from there. In fact, Sachimata received Mahaprabhu in her room when she was in Bangladesh. And only 2 months before he appeared, they moved over to Navadvip. So all the Hindus in Bangladesh, they have the mood Mahaprabhu appeared in our country. It's Mahaprabhu Dash. Yes. And Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, and Narottam Das Thakur, and Mukunda Datta, Vasudev Datta, Advaita Acharya, Srivas Thakur, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and so many more. They're all coming from there. Yeah.
But one question. What about the education? Because one child grew, what happened? You go to normal school?
About which children? You mean in general now?
No, if it's
Or in Bangladesh or what?
no, like if it's children from Krishna consciousness, everyone, what did we do?
Well, I mean, we try and have our own schools. Many countries have their own schools, but not so easy. Or in some countries we do this collective homeschooling, you know, which is like a school, but it's like under this umbrella of homeschooling, you know. Yeah, they do this very nicely in Czech Republic. There's the farm Krishnodvor. Anybody's been there? Krishnodvor? Yes. So they are the mothers, they have amazing cooperation to teach the children. They divided them all in age groups and they teach them in different homes. And twice a year some people from the government educational board comes, and they are so favorable. They like the devotees so much that those, you know, the kids have to pass exams. And they always say, oh yeah, you're doing everything great, fantastic, go on like that, yes. They hardly ever have a kid failing in the exams. You know, yeah, they're so supportive, you know, yes. Yeah, so I personally am not such a friend of, you know, one parent teaching one or two children. This is a little, yeah. And I read one book, The Art of Parenting. There is a whole essay on this too, that actually it's not part of our tradition, that even the great kings, they always had a brahmana coming and training the children. They were never training the children themselves, because the parent-child relationship is of an emotional kind. And then if you play the teacher, you know, there's not much room for emotional connections and attachments, and the two, to mix them is not so good. And I had a personal experience in that myself. I actually grew up traveling. My parents were really travelers of exotic kind, you know, oh my God, yeah. But when I was 10, we traveled for 1 year with my brother and sister all around southern part of Africa. So I didn't go to school for a whole year. I never noticed. I went back to my own class, and that's how important schooling is. So I missed the whole year, never noticed it again, you know. Oh, it's true. And my parents did a tiny little bit of homeschooling, but so little you may as well forget it, you know. So, but I remember this one scenario where my father was trying to teach me some mathematics, and I couldn't understand, and he was getting a little impatient, and then I was all crying, and you know, and it was not such a good experience, you know, that my father was there, the mathematic teacher, and you know, yes. So yeah, I don't really think that is the best thing to do, you know, but well, we have to weigh up sometimes, you know. Now the schools are so ridiculous, teaching all kinds of crazy things, especially with the whole gender confusion and all these sexual lessons. And yeah, I mean, what parents have told me, my God, shocking, you know, that already at 10, 11 years of age, the kids are taught how to put condoms on some wooden forms of genitals and stuff. They learn this in the schools. I don't know if this is in France like that, but in some parts of the world it's like that. At 10, 11, you know, yes, I mean really. And I know also nice families in Germany, they're nice devotees, but the girls are completely mixed up, teenage girls. And they're convinced they're actually men and they're lesbian and this and that, you know, and that's what they get from this association. It seems like especially the girls are mixed up in this whole thing, you know. So yeah, it's a question of, you know, taking the less the less bad thing, you know, either homeschooling your own child or exposing your child to all this stuff, you know, yes. Yeah. So, yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
We hear that Garbhadana Samskar is so important, but
Yeah.
some devotees would complain also that they did the process, they followed the process properly, and then their children are still not attracted to Krishna consciousness. So what's the...
Yeah, well, I did want to say a few words about Garbhadana Samskara. Let me park this. Do we have any other question? Yes.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for this wonderful seminar. I have a question. I'm living in Portugal, and we are in a big city, having Sunday programs in a very small apartment. Lots of devotees coming together, like not easy atmosphere to do something with children. But I admire very much devotees, families who do invest so much energy, and still the children, at least they are coming to the programs. And in latest period, they started to do something with them in one room, like some Bhagavatam for children, and someone is taking care of children. So I'm very happy to see that. And but I still don't know how I can connect with children. One thing is, I don't speak Portuguese. I plan to learn it.
So where are you from?
Croatia.
Okay.
But there are some children speaking English, some not.
Mm.
But like, how to connect with them? Some of them are just running around full of energy. Some of them just take a phone and play video games.
Yeah, I get your point. It's really a question of attitude. That's what we have to transform. You know, no matter what elaborate kids and sophisticated kids program we have, if we don't change our attitude, that we don't see them as disturbance and impediment, spoiling our fun, that's the main thing. I mean, in Bangladesh, it's not that they make such sophisticated programs there. No, it's the attitude. It's the attitude. I mean, these boys I took to Bangladesh, they didn't take part in any of the kids' programs. They were just with the brahmacharis, you know, and we were traveling, doing programs, you know, but it's the attitude. And, I mean, you know, you as a brahmachari give attention to the boys. The only bona fide touch, according to Vaishnava etiquette, is hand on the head, blessings. Of course, for kids who are not your kids, you know, of course, your kid you can hug and fondle and whatever. But any kid which is not, where you are not the parent, this is a really important thing too, which here in the West people don't know these things. You know, they actually, you know, touch on the head, blessings. Yes, so, you know, you give some little attention to the kids. Oh, Haribol, such and such Prabhu, how are you today? Looking pretty cool, you know, and that's all you have to do, you know. Yeah. You know, and I've started this also, you know, I remember once in Ukraine I was in the kirtan and there was a mother with a little girl next to me. And in the kirtan, all I did was I turned to the girl and smiled at her. And I heard her later saying, because I understand a little bit of Russian, she was saying, oh, Mataji Devaki smiled at me, Mama. She smiled at me. You know, this goes a long way. Just to smile at a child, give them some little attention, you know? Yes, just a few words, you know? Actually, when I was so involved in Ukraine and Kharkov in this one community, I was really trying to make this a good model how all the ashrams serve each other and support each other. And I introduced two things there. I introduced a kids' day, where the kids are in the center, and it's all about their fun. And everybody takes part, also the brahmacharis, not just the mums or something, but everybody. All the old people, the brahmacharis, bhaktas, bhaktins, everybody. And we rented a bus, and we took everybody to some, not so expensive zoo, some animal park, and we were feeding them some prasadam, carrots and apples, and chanting Hare Krishna to them. And then we had a picnic on some grass area, which was pretty nice, with pizza and cakes and so many things. So everybody brought something along. And then part 2 was so funny. There was all these games, all these competition games amongst the kids and the young grown-ups. And we elderly ladies, we were sitting there laughing our heads off. It was so funny. You know, like the temple president carrying one of the kids on his shoulders, and then there was all these fighting, wrestling games and this and that. And everybody had a great time riding on the temple president's shoulders there, you know. And then these competitions where in our childhood, we were having a spoon with an egg on it, and we were running, you know, and you shouldn't drop the egg. So we replaced the egg with a potato, you know, and then you run there, you know, without the potato falling off your spoon. And the kids and the, you know, grown-ups were doing these things together, even with the brahmacharis, everybody, you know. It was so nice. The kids were in ecstasy. They were in bliss, you know. Oh. But I could see for some parents, this was not so easy to tune in, you know. Sometimes the parents are so stiff and narrow, only has to be lecture, kirtan, japa, anything else is maya, you know. And they were just standing there and watching it all and thinking this is all stupid. You know, but Krishna and Balaram, they teach us how to have fun, how to play. It's all in the 10th canto, you know. Oh, they play football with the amalaki fruits, and they put the blankets over them and play being bulls and then peacock and this and that. You know, they're teaching us swinging, you know. Yes. So kids, we have to have some fun, you know. And the parents and grown-ups should participate. And this was such a jolly day for the kids. And they wanted to do it several times a year, but I think they never did. But whenever I came in summer, then we had our kids' day. And then the second thing I introduced was that in Ukraine they had Saturday mornings, a really big morning program where all the practicing devotees come to the morning program, because they realize Sunday feast is an outreach program. It's not so nourishing for practicing devotees. So they had introduced this even before I started going there. Long tradition. Saturday morning is the program. So there was about 100 devotees coming for the Saturday morning program. Some came for Mangaladi, some for Darshanadi and Prabhupada Guru Puja, and some for the class. So, and then the breakfast was almost like a Sunday feast. It was with halava and sweet rice and everything, you know. Yeah. And so we introduced that on the Saturday morning program, the first 15-20 minutes, the Bhagavatam speaker gives a Bhagavatam class for the kids. And they all sit in the front, and the parents in the back. And the kids, the older ones, they also chant the shloka and then as a speaker you discuss the verse, but you do it a bit interactive, you know, and involve the kids. So, and then when they're 15-20 minutes, it was funny, and then they said, okay, Mataji, you show us how to do it, you know. I had to give the first class. And it's not that I'm so experienced with, giving programs to kids. But yeah, so it was quite funny, and I made it all funny. And then at the end of the 15-20 minutes for the kids, the Bhagavatam speaker gives all the kids a little sweet. So nicely packaged. That they have the samskara. Bhagavatam class was so sweet. We all got a nice sweet there. And something nice, Yes, nice, attractive package. And so they all came to the Bhagavatam speaker, picked up their sweet. So, and then the young kids were going outside in the yard playing, and the older kids stayed in the Bhagavatam class, And this was also very successful. And parents told me how the kids dragged them to the program. Oh, it's Saturday, we have to go, Mum, quick. Yes. So, that they feel the class, the programs are also for them. It's also for them. Yes, and then they get their little sweet, Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, I just wanted to ask you, the kids stayed for the first 15 minutes, you said? I must have understood. And then they go out.
Yeah, 15-20 minutes. Bhagavatam speaker speaks so the kids can relate to it. You do it a little interactive and this and that, and and even if it's not completely on the verse, something related, yeah. Yeah, I remember the first class I was giving, because in some temples, the kids, they're just running around the temple room. Temple room becomes like the sports hall, and they're running and screaming and running, and there's no respect there for Prabhupada, for the deities, So I was, giving the message across in a funny way, saying, yes, you have been to Vrindavan, yeah, you remember the monkeys, Abhizyan, this monkey in Russian, the monkeys, they're running, they're doing so many things, but they're not allowed in the temple. No monkeys in the temple. What will Prabhupada and Gunatai think if you behave here like monkeys, running and screaming and all this, so, yeah, so it was funny, And then I was saying to the parents, yes, so you can remind your children, remember what Mataji Devaki said, so don't be like a monkey, Monkeys have to be outside, they can run it. Yeah, anyway, so, okay, what else? Any other common question?
Maybe more educational games or something.
Huh?
More invention games, how they can use like smartness, for example, the street, how to make constructions, how to apply directly knowledge from Srimad Bhagavatam. Then it's not too much mind, it's also practical.
Yeah, see, because we only have 2 sessions today and tomorrow, I would prefer not to get too much into the details. Usually when I give the whole course, and you can find it on internet, there I go more into details. But just in general terms, for example, kids like to act out Krishna's pastimes. They do it naturally. But for them to do that, they have to know the stories. So we have to read or tell the stories to the kids, and then often we also ask them to paint something, about the story we read, and they can act them out. They do it naturally anyway. So that's a very nice way. And kids by nature, they are so inventive. They have so much creative imagination. But all these fancy toys and gadgets actually kills that. So as a parent, we have to know what kind of toys to give our kids. Toys which stimulate some creativity, some building blocks, or sand, or Lego is also not bad. You know, with Lego you can even build temples and all kinds of things. You know, so yeah, we have to, you know what kind of toys to give to our kids. And well, there is gradually also some, you know, kids' toys available, some puzzles, you know, where you put the puzzle with some Krishna conscious picture, or you could make some memory cards, you know, the game memory, where 2 cards have the same picture and you turn them upside down and mix them, and people have to find the right pair, you know. That would be a good one for devotees, or different deities, or you would get pretty mixed up there, you know. Yes. Or different deities and temples, and yeah, you would get mixed up with Radhadesh and New Mayapur temple, you know. Yeah, so there's so many things one can do, you know. Yes.
Thank you very much. What you said about changing our attitude of not seeing children as impediment, and this is what you said, to give little attention. It gives some hope to me. I want to share like what was happening. One family, devotee couple, who is regularly coming to the temple, and then mother cooks and the father plays mridanga and sings or does some job, and they let the children just to play on the phone. And it has a reason, because they say they are quite strict with him at home to do devotional things, so they have to give him some free space to play.
At the temple.
So
that's where the free space would.
He goes into some corner and he plays his games, and I tried to somehow communicate with him, but he's so absorbed in the games that he doesn't even listen what I say.
Yeah.
And then I try to give him some sweet, and he just snatches them, but he doesn't take too much attention of me.
Yes,
so I was feeling
you're disturbing. You are in the way of his computer games.
And he on the phone, he would, these games have some crazy music and also, so I had a duty to tell him, like, please turn off this music, and he was turn off, then I would go out, then he would turn on again. So I was always coming back and chastising him, please turn this music off, and then I had to come to the parents. So I was always the chastiser, and I was growing this anger towards him, although he's just a 9 or 10-year-old boy.
Yeah, so well, we have to offer them something higher, you know. Chastising is not enough. If there's nothing offered for the kids, what choice do they have? You know, what choice do they have?
So I understood I cannot just like cut him, I have to give him something. So I started, like, sometimes or often I would just give him some sweet prasad. And then when it was day of my birthday, and this couple, they made me a nice cake, and the boy, he made the most wonderful, like, drawings. Nitai Prabhu, happy birthday, and some drawings of me doing something. But I understood he is
receptive and respectful.
He is experiencing me. He is taking everything what I take, even this little sweet. He is appreciating so much. So, like, this is my hope against hope, that something. Even if I do something little, it will be there.
But better would be to, you know, do something more educational and nice with the children. That would be much better, you know.
What? Give me some inspiration.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's so important. Any other comment?
Maybe,
well,
maybe they do have also kitchen.
Well, yeah, once they're 10, 11 or something, they can help cutting up. We can engage children in so many ways. Again, it's just a question of attitude, you know? If we always have this mood, oh, it's quicker alone, and oh, no, they're disturbing, and this and that. We have to involve them, you know, because children also need to feel needed. They want to be a part of it. And that was the good thing in former times in the agricultural, you know, agrarian society, that the kids were helping in the farm, you know. They had their mission there, their purpose. I mean, I grew up in the village in South Germany, and my parents were not farmers, but in summer I was always going out helping the farmers in the fields. You know, I liked doing it. We were picking the potatoes, and though 50 years ago that the hay was turned by hand, you know, so we were going out turning the hay with them and doing so many things, you know. So, and this was really ecstatic for us kids, you know. There were more kids, and we all joined in there, you know. So actually kids want to be a part of it, you know. So if we allow them and we train them a bit and all that, then they can be a part of so many things. When they're a little older, they can help serving prasadam and tidying up, cleaning up, whatever, you know, so many things, you know. I mean, one thing also, sometimes the kids can lead the kirtan, even though I've come across a few situations where the parents are so ambitious, you know, and the child has to lead every kirtan, you know, and my child, you know, so we don't want to train the kids off, you know, being so ambitious and they have to be the center. And they should also learn to follow the Vaishnava etiquette, that in the presence of seniors, we don't show ourselves so ambitious that we want to lead the kirtan. So if they are allowed to lead once per day or whenever, this is enough, but not every time and every kirtan. You know, then we train them to feed and boost their false egos there, the kirtan. And the parents were all proud, yeah, my child led again kirtan. Oh, you know, yeah, so we have to see that we do it in a Krishna conscious way, you know. But maybe, since time is moving on, let me use the last 25 minutes, because how can we speak about children if we don't speak about the importance of being a mother? Because this is another thing, you know. There is in 269 in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, what is day to the common person is night for the introspective sage. So meaning, what is right for a materialist is most likely wrong for a spiritualist, and vice versa. So what is success for a materialist is most likely an obstacle, an impediment on the path of bhakti. And what is success for a spiritualist most likely is seen as a weakness and being a loser with mundane eyes, right? So this day-night principle actually accompanies us through all fields of devotional life. Like all the important qualities for women, chastity, shyness, they are seen as unwanted and being a loser. I remember in Australia many years ago, I sat next to one lady who came first time to a Sunday program, and somehow, you know, people ask always the same questions, and somehow we came across the topic of chastity. And this lady said to me, looking like with 1,000 question marks in her face at me, she was saying, chastity? What's that? And it was not a question of her not speaking English or something. No, she didn't speak any other language except English. But just chastity, I mean, if you would go in Paris on the street and you would do a survey asking people, what do you think about chastity? Is chastity an important quality for you? You ask the ladies, or you ask the men. You know, do you consider chastity an important quality for your wife? It would probably be so funny what kind of answers you get. You know, because people don't know what this is anymore. Nobody even talks about it. It's not what people strive for. You know? And people don't even understand the term. You know, even in German language, Keuschheit. Wow, this sounds like something from the Middle Ages or something. You know? Anybody who speaks German? No. So I mean, nobody uses Keuschheit. You know, yeah, it's something really weird and unusual. You know? So and it's the same chastity for people in English. You know? So same thing is there in regards to mothers. How is a woman seen who is a mother with mundane vision? How is she seen?
Well, she's not quote-unquote a working woman, and probably like, what is she doing? Like wasting, you know, potential or whatever.
Yeah, she's not appreciated, not respected. What? You are only a mother and a housewife? My God, what are you doing all day? You know? Yeah, she can't enjoy life and develop her career and earn lots of money and go out and enjoy life. You know, it's a pitiful condition to be a mother. She's a slave, you know. Yes, that's a vision of mother, you know. There's this funny story which I heard from Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj once when he was giving Bhagavatam class in Mayapur. He was telling the story how one lady goes to some social welfare office and fills in some papers there to apply for some social welfare. And where it said profession, she puts mother and housewife. So then when she handed in the form, the guy behind the counter says, sorry, you can't write this. This is not a profession. So, and then she said, well, but that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years, you know. So, sorry, you can't write this. So then she takes an empty form and storms out and, you know, is a little agitated, goes home, and she fills in the form again. So in profession she writes, child raising and family technologist. So, and then next day she goes back to the office, hands in the form. Child raising and family technology. Okay, yeah, that we can accept. Yeah, so mothers not given any importance. It's like how do you say? It's a disgrace. I was using for that word. Because once I remember in India, in Calcutta, I was giving this program to the ladies. Mother, being a mother, honor or disgrace, as a title. You know, and I had about 100 ladies there, you know, and wow, they were all, you know, the whole mindset was put upside down. Because yeah, now in India, the women are almost more materialistic than in the Western world. They all want to be career woman and independent and making money. And yeah, because it's such a big new thing that in India the woman works, you know, so they all go for it now, you know. Yes, but we here in Europe, you know, we had it all after the Second World War. So many women had to go to work, men were killed, you know, so I think now people realize, being in the working world is not the success and fulfillment in life. And most devotee ladies in Europe, they rather don't work and they do something with the kids, or they go to the temple and do some service and all that. But in India it's also such a new thing, you know. So yeah, the mothers are not given any respect and appreciation and so on, you know. Yes, sad thing, you know. But yeah, spiritual culture, what's the mother's position there?
guru.
Yes, yes. Mother comes just after Krishna comes Mother. Yeah. She's the most important personality in human society, is the mother. Anybody who is from Indian background, you know these Matradeva Bhava, Pitradeva Bhava, Chayadeva Bhava, Titideva Bhava, right? Yes. So Matradeva Bhava means be somebody for whom mother is like Krishna. And then Pitradeva Bhava, be somebody where father is like Krishna. Then Achayadeva Bhava, teacher is like Krishna. Atitideva Bhava, uninvited guest should be treated like Krishna. But mother comes first. There's also quotes in Manu Samhita that mother 1,000 times more important than father. 1,000 times. She is the first guru. She is the one who plants the seed of bhakti in the child's heart. It's not the father, it's the mother. She creates the whole spiritual atmosphere in the home and thus in society. Because society is built of many homes. Yes, yes. She is the one. Yeah. So mother, and I've experienced this also in Bangladesh. I'm serving there as mother of Bangladesh. And I could introduce so many things. I'm not wanting to glorify myself, but I made quite a few revolutions there in Bangladesh amongst the devotees. All by being mother. No managerial title, nothing. Just mother. And that culture, what mother says goes. Yeah.
It's in one of our spiritual texts, it is also said, even if you take your skin off, you cannot repay the debt of your mother.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Actually, also, Bhaktivedanta Maharaj once gave this nice talk about mothers. I was having some Padla program there in Mayapur from my institute, and the topic was the glories of our mothers. So he is one of my board members, and he gives me a lot of support and inspiration. So he was saying this nice thing. He was saying, sannyasi, everybody pays obeisances to him, except one person. Mother. Sannyasi, we are not talking about wife. The mother will not pay obeisances to him. He will pay obeisances to her. That's position of mother. Yeah. And I also had one sweet story in Bangladesh. One brahmachari, he's meanwhile a sannyasi actually, but when he was brahmachari, he said to me, Mataji, our Guru Maharaj is our father, you are our mother, and mother more important. And I was all perplexed. What? Mother more important than Guru Maharaj? How is this? And I asked him, and he put his hand on his heart and he said, yes, mother more affection. Only in Bangladesh a brahmachari would dare to say anything like that. Yeah, in Bangladesh people are not so traumatized by all kinds of lusty experiences and all this, and even the brahmacharis, they behave quite affectionately towards, an old woman like me, and they treat her as mother, and so it's a whole different scene there, You should come and visit. It's paradise for brahmacharis. There's so many. Yes. Yeah, just to get some insights into how the culture is naturally lived, naturally.
Thank you, but how to apply this, like when we say mother is 1,000 times more important than father, and then father is more important than spiritual master. So my mother has so many requests that I speak with her often. Should I then reduce my service to fulfill this request?
No, of course not reduce your service, you know. But, yeah, of course, if you're brahmachari and grown up, then there should not be that, you know, so much, you know, attachment and association and so on. But something. And yeah, I mean, I have visited the brahmacharis' homes in the villages. We've done programs there. I've seen how they greet their parents, you know. It's not like we greet with hugs and kisses. This is all too gross for them, you know. It's much more subtle. They still greet their parents like it's described in Krishna book. They touch their feet, and the parents affectionately rub their head, give blessings. Still going on, you know. No, I mean, the mothers also have to understand that, you know, their time as mothers finished, and especially if the son is a brahmachari, they have to give a bit of space there and so on, you know. Connect her with other ladies who are in Krishna consciousness, other parents, you know. But a little bit, of course, we interact, but not that we have to give up our service or something, just to talk to our mother. But again, it's the attitude, you know. So now you communicate by phone, so send her a nice picture, send her, you know, some little message, and that's it, enough, you know. Yeah, so in spiritual life, mothers, such an important service, you know. Actually, I'm talking in this book, Spiritual Culture, about these things. And I've included one article there of one Hindu preacher. He is not a devotee as such, but he's making this funny, not funny, but interesting statements. He says he's trying to liberate the women from the liberators, from the women's liberation, to liberate them from that. And he also makes the statement that the quickest way to destroy spirituality and religiosity in human society is by getting into the women's ears that they have to have a career, a professional career. That's the quickest way to destroy spirituality. Because then, if a woman works 8 hours a day, professional career competition, she doesn't have that time and energy after 8-hour day to actually give Krishna consciousness, you know, to her children, or to create that spiritual atmosphere in the home through her cooking and keeping everything nice and clean. And she doesn't have that energy. And proportionally, you know, spirituality will be destroyed in human society. Wow, you know, to actually put it like this is quite of an eye-opener, you know? And it's so logical and simple once we understand that this is a woman's important contribution to create the spirituality and religiosity in the whole society, in her home and thus in society. So yeah, and he was saying that some Christian preachers who come to India and convert Hindus to Christians, they use that tactic by telling the women they should go and work, because they know that destroys Hindu Dharma, you know, yes. And I mean, it's not only in Krishna consciousness, it's in any religious path, you know, whether it's Christianity, Muslims, whatever, you know, yes. And, you know, 100 years ago it was also in Europe like that the women, their main field was in the home, you know. I remember in my childhood, so that's 60 years ago, let's say, the ladies in Germany, they were not going to university. they were going to a householder school where they learn how to run a household. Yes, yes. This is what we should introduce.
This
Yes.
exists in Germany, this?
If it's existing now, I doubt it, but 60 years ago it was. And our family, they were authorized to train these girls practically. So these girls were living in somebody else's household. They were not learning from the mother, but in another household. And we had these girls living with us, and we were teasing them. One at a time was living with us, and we, as kids, we were teasing them and all this. So, you know, my mother was authorized to train such girls. You know, there was just one man coming, checking out, and talking to my mother, okay, you're authorized, you get the stand. So, and then twice a week they were going to some school for a few hours to learn different things in the school. And the main thing was practical. And that actually was considered the education for women. Not the only available education, but in the villages, you know, that's usually what the girls were choosing, because they were coming from farmers' homes, you know, and the daughter, well, she had to look for a husband to run the farm, and she had to know how to run a household, you know. So definitely the farmers, they had that approach to their girls, you know. Yes.
In India too, maybe 1930s, my mom would tell me that they had what's called home science, so which is saying, you know, like cooking and you know, putting these like falls in the saris, etc. It was mandatory, but not. I don't think it's anymore like that. They don't even have a subject like that.
Just saying. I mean, my mother, as I said, she studied art at an art kind of university. So some people were of course also learning different professions, and it was not that this was the only education available for women, but especially in the villages and coming from a farmer's household, you know, this is what people thought their girls would do. They would run a farm with their husband, you know. Yes. Yeah, so things have really shifted completely, you know. So, and in those days also, I mean, even in my family, my childhood, it was our mother who was praying with us and this and that. My father was not so involved in these things, but she was the one who created that religious atmosphere and spiritual atmosphere in the home, you know. Not in a narrow-minded, fanatic Christian way, but she was so open. She came 2 times with me to my appointment down. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, let's wrap up here. We can't talk about the importance of children without talking about the importance of mothers, right? Yes. So, and it's important for us devotees to understand, like just to share with you, I was in the Brahmacharini ashram in Australia, in Sydney, for 4 years. And then many years later, I met one Mataji who I was Brahmacharini with in the ashram. I hadn't met her for many years. So, and she, you know, married and she raised a daughter and everything. So I asked her, so what are you up to? You know, what are you doing? And she said, oh, I went back to university. She must have been 40 at that time or something. I said, oh, really? University? My God, what for? You know? And then the answer she gave me, she said, well, you know, I was thinking all I've been doing is I've been a mother and a housewife. And I just felt I should get a degree to be something, you know. And then, I gave her a whole lecture about the glories of being a mother, you know, and there's no need to get a degree or something, you know. But yeah, that's how sometimes even we devotees are so influenced by this propaganda out there that we have all, minority complexes or something if we are only a mother and housewife, Yes, no, we should have that, that, how to say, that, self-respect and that confidence that being a mother is such an important service, and we shouldn't feel insecure to tell people, yes, I'm a mother, no. But saying this also doesn't mean that women should not get any education. Because when we get some higher education, we also learn how to develop different thoughts and so on, and then we can teach our children better, So, whereas when women are completely uneducated, then they're often, maybe a little dull or not so developed in their thought process and reading things and so no harm to get some education for women. But whether we want to work as in a full-time career, well, we better think about that twice, at least while the kids are small, the focus should be somewhere else, yes, until they're 5 or 6, the kids really need us, All right, so before we close, I do want to say a few words about these books, because some of them are very related to this topic of children, So, Spiritual Culture, Krishna's Divine System. Actually, the whole book is about women. Yeah. And this is, again, very helpful for mothers, how to raise girls. Yes. And also, of course, for herself, But it doesn't mean that this book is not interesting for men. No, in India, many temples like Chaupadi, Pune, they use this book as a handbook for brahmachari training, so that the men also understand what an important role women play, how we have a very powerful Shakti. And Bhagavatam says we should use that power to be the power of inspiration to the men and not to compete with the men. Because this is what happens because of this man-woman equality propaganda. We women compete with the men, and then we don't give our Shakti to the man, but we want to use it to become the hero ourselves, rather than making the man the hero. But the men need that feminine energy to be empowered. Yes, and that's why in Kali Yuga the men become so irresponsible and, sorry to say, almost useless, because we women don't empower them. We empower ourselves. So this is a whole big topic. So when you read this book, you will become very clear how this man-woman equality puts the whole human society upside down, actually. Yeah. And it took me so many years to understand these things. I all learned it in Bangladesh. When I joined in Australia, I was very different. I was the one who made all the revolutions, that the women can do this and that and this and that. Coming from Germany, that's what we get there, this conditioning. So it took me 20 years to undo that conditioning and understand what role women are meant to play according to Krishna's divine system. So for every woman, this book is a must, and actually for every man also. And apart from that, it's super helpful for married life. It has saved already quite a few marriages. People write me. I have my email address in every book, so people sometimes write me and tell me this. And then and that book I also have in Russian, if anybody speaks Russian, but I've got only very few copies, so if you want to get a Russian copy, you better be quick. And sheltering relationships. This is all about the importance of having a mentor, that just having guru, not enough. We need this well-wishing, more experienced friend who guides us, who corrects us, who helps us to balance material and spiritual needs, and.
Would that be a Shiksha Guru, no?
Shiksha Guru, we may only see once a year or something, but a mentor should be in our community, ideally, who can see how is our sadhana, how is our mood of service, how is our mood of cooperation. You know, Shiksha Guru, you're far away maybe, and you don't see actually. You know, yes. So we need Diksha Guru, we need Shiksha Gurus, but we also need mentors. Simply a well-wishing friend where we can open our heart, who has no other interest except our spiritual growth and development.
And what's the difference then to that mentor to a Shiksha Guru?
Well, because a Shiksha Guru, there's so many different levels of Shiksha Gurus. Shiksha Gurus can be worshipped equally like the Diksha Guru, you know?
All right, yeah.
Yeah, and the Shiksha Guru, he may not even know that you're taking his Shiksha. You may just like to listen to his lectures or something. He may not even know you, you know? So there's so many different levels of Shiksha Guru. And another thing we don't call mentors Shiksha Guru may also be to protect the mentor's consciousness, that he doesn't get carried away, or I have here my Shiksha disciples and actually you should worship me just like you're a Diksha Guru, and all this kind of thing that can get into people's heads. This book I also have available in Russian. There's a whole chapter on the qualifications a person has to serve as a mentor, and the qualities we need in order to be eager for accepting a mentor. There's a topic of envy in it, how envy manifests towards seniors equals juniors, and the culture of respect, culture of correcting others. So many important topics. Then we have the false ego, our constant companion and troublemaker. Very relevant for everyone. False ego, very subtle. Often it remains undetected. We can feed and boost the false ego very nicely, all in the name of Krishna consciousness, instead of subduing and dissolving it. And it's, again, everything is so practical application. Like when we get offended, how often does that happen? What is it? It's the false ego crying for justice. When we can't forget and forgive, we keep grudges. Oh, it's all the false ego. Married life can be like the battlefield of false egos. Who is right, who is wrong? And there is also a whole chapter on chanting in japa and in kirtan, because I do conduct holy name retreats, especially in ISKCON. That's my favorite holy name retreat. 21st to 25th of December. If anybody wants to come, welcome. 21st to 25th of December. All you have to do is register on my website and be in Mayapur. I arrange the rest. Bus to ISKCON, accommodation, prasadam, all on donation basis. Actual expenses about 3,500 rupees, which is not even 50 euros. So, you know, that's cheap. Yeah, so there's like a summary of a holy name retreat in it. Very helpful. How to chant in japa and kirtan. And then we have entering the grihastha ashram. How to do it, how better not to do it. It's like a handbook for matchmaking. How to see that two people are compatible for marriage. There's a whole list of over 200 topics which a boy and a girl should discuss with a cool head. without pink glasses. That's why the book is pink. Because the pink glasses make it all look so promising, and then when the pink glasses wear off after 2 years, we may realize, we don't even have anything in common, and then people separate. So, very important book for people who are not married yet, for parents, because this idea that the parents should find a nice husband for the girl, this should be planted into the girl's heart at young age, 4 or 5 years of age. I remember I asked my mother, even before I started school, I asked her, how do you find a husband? And she said, well, it somehow happens, you meet him somewhere. And then I said, so is there a market somewhere? I thought, all the husbands are sitting there and you just come and pick one. She said, no, not like that. Yeah, so girls start asking these questions. If they have a strong connection to the mother, then they ask these things, Yes. Yeah, so for parents, matchmakers, mentors, or for unmarried devotees. And this one sets almost the foundation to raising children. Family life as an ashram, secrets of success. How to create the culture of bhakti in our home. And so many times in this book I'm saying, just let us imagine if a child grows up in this environment with these habits, in such culture, yes. So raising children, tomorrow we continue, tomorrow morning, 10:30. So raising children is not a matter of just, to know some techniques or something. No, you actually have to be Krishna conscious. Yes. You have to create this culture of bhakti in your home, culture of kirtan, culture of puja, culture of sadhana, and then the kids naturally grow into this. But if this culture of bhakti is not there, and it's all rules, you have to chant, you can't have chocolate ice cream, not very attractive to kids. Yes, we actually have to live it. So this book will help us understand how to actually create the culture of bhakti in our home. And there's also a chapter on physical intimacy in marriage, how to follow the principle of no illicit sex life. There's a lot of confusion over this. I did a bit of research. I came across interesting episodes with Prabhupada where he said things which hardly anybody has heard, and people are surprised. What? Prabhupada said that? Really? Wow. I hope this book will help us to make our family life more Krishna conscious and yet more emotionally balanced and healthy. Because again, Vanaprastha ashram is not properly established. That's why we tend to take elements from the Vanaprastha ashram and we squeeze it into the Grihastha ashram. And some people have this philosophy, no hugs, no kisses, it's all Maya. Well, that's the Vanaprastha ashram. There you're sick and tired of hugs and kisses. You had it for 30 years. And then you naturally come to the phase where you say it's enough now. Yes. I have an episode here. I'll quickly tell the story. One brahmachari got married when Prabhupada was around. And Prabhupada asked him after a while, after he got married, he asked him, so is your wife happy? And this Prabhu said, no, Prabhupada, not so much. And then what did Prabhupada say? You must give her more affection. You must kiss her. Instruction from Prabhupada. You must kiss her. Yes. Because Prabhupada could see he still had his brahmachari program there, Yes, and often devotees think, oh, this is all Maya, it's all subtle sex life, and no hugs, no kisses. Yes. It's a conjugal relationship. and after Grihastha life is another ashram for everybody, Vanapasta ashram. You know, then it becomes very clear, okay, 50 or as soon thereafter, when the kids are grown up, settled in life, Vanapasta ashram. So then, no more hugs and kisses, no more sex life. Prabhupada emphasizes it throughout the whole Bhagavatam, again and again. Vanapasta, no more sex. Vanapasta, no more sex. You know, so why would he emphasize this so much? If the only acceptable standard would be for children, you know, then no need to emphasize it, because when you're 50, you don't want any children anymore anyway. So why emphasizing it so much, you know? Okay, so if anybody wants any books, these last 3 books are 15 euros each, and the 2 first ones are 10 euros each. So the whole set, 65 euros. And they're all courses. They're all 15-hour courses, every book. So very good for preachers. All you have to do is, you know, read a few chapters, take some notes. You've got all Prabhupada's quotes there. Ready is your presentation. You don't have to come up with it yourself. It's already there, you know. Yes. So many temples use these books as handbooks for preaching and training devotees. Okay, so, yes, 1:15. So tomorrow we have again one session, 10:30 to 1. So please come. Today was just setting the scene. But yeah, I find these basic principles to be so much more important even than all kinds of details, you know, that we understand. We have to transform our attitude, and the children have to be the center, and we have to involve them and make them feel welcome and wanted, and we have to give them attention, because yeah, that's the problem. So often, even in Mayapur, when I distribute a leaflet inviting people to the kids' course, people often say, oh, we don't have kids, oh, it's not interesting for me, oh, my kids are grown up. You know, so, but actually this topic is for everybody. You know, yes. That's a sad thing, that we may think, oh, kids, that's just a topic for the mothers or something. You know, but no, we all have to. Yes, we have to understand how important the children are, that they are our future, and you know. So, but tomorrow, yes, we'll pick out a few more details from the rest of the course. I think we will start tomorrow just briefly mentioning Garbhodan Samskar, because often people think it's just chanting 50 rounds, but there's so much more we can do actually, so much more, yeah. And how to prepare, how to create the best possible environment for a child to take birth, and you know, yes. And then a few things about children. Okay, so thank you so much for your kind attention. Please tell other devotees about it. Tell them to come tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki, Sarvada Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaura Premanandi. And if anybody wants some books, please come and let me know.
So what? Mataji.
You want one of each?
Anumati, this we do not need actually. We already entered.
No, but maybe for your community, Prabhu.
Maybe we shall become matchmakers in
Yes, matchmakers.
She like very much. She did 1, 2.
Yes.
You did also.
No, matchmaking is such an important service. I find it's one of the most...
So many women unmarried.
Yes, and because we don't help them, they all go hunting and fishing.
Books. You promised to Mataji, I can finish all the books.
Yes, I promise. Why not? With great interest,
yeah, and they're easy to read because they're practical, relevant, and my English is also not exotic. I don't use any exotic English words because I know most of my readers are not even English, have English as their main language.
You need to read this book.
Huh?
You promised.
Thank you. for exactly that in your life. And on the first page of each book is my email address. So if you have any questions,
So you can
comments.
come, Mataji, to give course to. You are coming to Spain, so.
Yeah, but I'm not giving much courses there, you know, just some little snippets and insights. Most is not opening. But I will have also books in there, you know. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And come back tomorrow if you have time.
She has a question about Garbhadan Sanskar something, so you need to.
So yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Question, why you told me Mataji, this is the problem why we do not have children. We cannot agree on a single thing, starting from Garbhadan Sanskar.
But how old are you now?
I'm 43, he is 46.
Yeah.
Maybe we are already on the threshold of.
Then it's maybe, then it's getting a little late. I mean, I know some ladies who had their first child when they were over 40. But yeah, it can be medically a little more risky. And also people don't have the youthful energy to run after a child so much anymore. But if the desire is there, give yourself 6 months and try, you know, and then if it doesn't happen, oh well, maybe not meant to be. Okay.
Thank you very much. If I can ask a short question.
Let me first see, is there anybody who wants more books? Okay.
I have a young 6-year-old younger sister who has a son of maybe